Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Reality Capture Education series. In today's session, we are going to be giving you some tips and tricks to level up your P-Series scan data. I'm Christine Grail with Leica Geosystems, part of Hexagon, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Our instructor today is Seth Gulich. And I have all kinds of things I can tell you about Seth. So let's see, he has about 10 years of experience. He's a professional surveyor and mapper. He has about 10 years of experience in all kinds of different work, surveying, field and office work, business development, training, project management, workflow optimization, you name it. He's pretty much done it. He was actually named one of XYHT's 23 young geospatial professionals to watch in 2023. And given how much he has accomplished in his career already, I can see why. He's an FAA certified drone pilot. He actually developed the Unmanned Aircraft Systems program for Bowman Consulting. And he also led the implementation and use of terrestrial and mobile LiDAR applications on projects in the state of Florida and the Southeast for Bowman. He's an adjunct lecturer for Penn State's Surveying Engineering program, where he teaches a variety of coursework. And he is the reality capture consultant for Leica Geosystems, where he guides surveying, mapping, and engineering professionals in achieving high productivity and a fast ROI on technology. So welcome, Seth. Also on the line with us today, we have Jason Dixon, who will be answering questions behind the scenes. We are making this an interactive session, so please do ask any questions you have. And either Jason will answer those while Seth is presenting. We will probably hold some of those for Seth to answer as well. And if we need to dive into those data sets to answer those questions, we can certainly do that. Before we get started today, I do have a few quick polls that we would like to share. So I'm going to go ahead and share this first one. And this one is, how would you describe your experience with laser scanning? Go ahead and answer that if you get a chance. As of right now, it looks like we have a lot of people on the line who are still learning. And I think even if you consider yourself a pro, you probably would put yourself in that middle category because there's always so much to learn. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out and share the results so that everyone can see where you're at. And our next poll question is, do you use a P-Series laser scanner? Now, of course, this is very much focused on the P-Series and collecting data with the P-Series and managing that data, but it's possible that you are using the P-Series with other laser scanners, and maybe you're just wanting to heckle Seth as the instructor, and that's okay. He's got a tough skin. He can handle it, but we're just curious where you're at in the whole scheme of things. It does look like a lot of people on the line here today are using the P-Series with other laser scanners, which is great because Seth's going to show you some tips and tricks to make that more efficient and effective as well. I'm going to share out those poll results. I'm sorry, Seth, you do have some hecklers on the line today, so we'll do our best we can to manage those. And then we have one more quick poll, and that is about Register 360 Plus. Are you using that software? We are curious to know how many in the audience today are already using it. It looks like a lot of them are, which is great. And we do have some folks that are curious. And it looks like just a very small percentage, or maybe a little bit skeptical, but hopefully the things that Seth shows you today will help you over those hurdles. I'm going to go ahead and close this and share those results so that everyone can see where they fall in this. And with that, I am going to close that and turn it over to you, Seth. Give me just a second here. All right, you should be able to take it away whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you, Christine. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for signing on and tuning in so far. You know, I was next up to do one of these series again. Was looking forward to it and talking amongst my coworkers and a lot of customers that I deal with and that they deal with as well. A common trend we were seeing was people have their P-Series scanner and they're still doing a lot of their workflows through Cyclone Core, which is great. Great stuff you can do in there and everything. But as I'm sure most of our users on here know, there is kind of a phase out happening, and one of the big topics right now is on using the P-Series systems you have that you've always relied on Cyclone Core for in Register 360 Plus. For some who are already using it with other scanners, it may not be too foreign of a concept for you. It may, because you may be using Register 360 for those scanners, the BLK line, the RTCs, things like that. So on the surface, it's a completely revamped look and workflow with a lot of that. With that come some benefits and some ways you have to change how to do things too, but hopefully for the better. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can, but there's just so many possibilities with how you're collecting your data, registering your data, that we might not get to everything. So I do apologize now for that. Any questions you have or anything like that, definitely ask them as we go along, and we'll try our best to answer them. So with Register 360 and kind of the workflows that it has to offer, the first thing I recommend to everybody who has a P-Series scanner, if you have a P-Series scanner and up-to-date CCPs, up-to-date firmware, I really encourage you to at least know how to work our Field 360 app with it. It adds some extra flexibility and with how you do your scanning. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of the P-Series in general, the P40 and the P50. So it's what I do usually recommend to people, so depending on your uses and use cases. So what I have, little hard to show that setup and process while sitting at my home office, of course. So have a quick video to guide you through that. So the setup Field 360, you need to first make sure you have the Wi-Fi set on. So you're going to go under the status menu on your scanner, and then what you want is that bottom right icon, the connections tab. So you're going to go in there and you're going to end up switching to make sure your Wi-Fi is on and you have it on access point mode. And then also the Wi-Fi key there, take mind of that. And then with the Field 360 app, you're going to just you're going to first go in, you're going to connect to your scanner through that Wi-Fi. Then you're going to use that password and information there with it. Connect it, get it all set up for the Wi-Fi before going over to the Field 360 app. So in there, you're going to add a new device connection. I wanted to show this because the first time you connect your P-Series scanner, there is going to be a little bit of a setup that you have to do to it. It has to we'll see here in a second how it phrases it, but it has to update some libraries and also in order to work. And it does take a few minutes. I don't recommend doing this in the field for the first time. Get this set up in the office. Make sure you have it working and scanning. So it comes up saying scanner's not ready. You have to prepare it, and it could take up to 50 minutes. My experience, it usually takes about 25 to 30 minutes is kind of what I've timed it at here. So it's going to sit on this screen for a while before it tells you that your scanner is ready. And then from there, you can go in and create your project. So on this screen, you have all your settings, same settings as the scanner. You're able to remotely control it for the most part. For the general overview scans, window scans, the defined target scans, you're going to actually want to jump to the scanner to use, but you're able to set your range, your resolution, your sensitivity, turn on your imagery and everything in here. Once you have that going, it gets moving. You're going to go through, do your scan. I'm going to just set up just a basic resolution here, and I'm going to have it scan, and I'll show you these two scans that it does. So the first scan comes in, you get to control and view it right here on your tablet. Look all around, do whatever you need to, which is great. There's a 3D view as well. My screen recorder did not pick it up the best, but that's all right. So while I'm in here, I can actually mark my target. So if you have a close target where you don't need to do a target scan, I have 2 of them here. You can actually just set them up just like this, and when they come into register 360, they're gonna show up. So right there, it's saving you some time. You don't have to do the dedicated target scan necessarily in order to link your work. So now we'll go through. We'll do a second scan here, so you can see how you can link your scans together. The whole premise with Register 360 and Field 360 is working with overlap and doing some cloud to cloud. It's going to make your setups and link them together very reliably. It's going to help you cut down on your control and speed up how you're doing your scans. It's not going to mean removing control altogether. You're still going to want some control on your projects, and sometimes cloud to cloud just doesn't work out the best. Depending on the environment that you're in, you're going to want to rely on those targets. So that was kind of a very quick video of it. I'm able to actually take those scans and I could drop them right in here. So, and you can see here on this first screen, it's going to actually show up. So what I ended up doing is the video showed you the first 2 scans linked together. I ended up doing 3 more scans along this bridge and then 1 off to the side of it. You get a quick little overview of it, make sure everything looks good and as it should appear, and you can hit import. For time saving sake, I'm going to actually just skip over that. I'm going to skip over importing here because it's going to take about 5-6 minutes it took on my computer. So I'm going to jump over and I'm going to open up one that I've already brought them in. So I did not use any resection or traversing like you would typically use with the P-Series here. These were all strictly done with cloud to cloud. On the right panel screen, you can actually see the residuals that it gave me for this cloud to cloud. This would not be something that I would typically say is easy for cloud to cloud because there's a lot of I-beams and cross braces going on here. Sometimes cloud to cloud likes to think with an I-beam that it's actually just a wall and put it right on top of each other. But overall, the data came right in, imported in, and linked together. As for those targets I picked up, they show up here on that right panel as well. They came right in as I labeled them. With 1 and 2. And then what you don't see in the video is I actually went into the scanner and I did a target scan afterwards of 2 more targets that were set up on the bridge. So doing it this way kind of adds that extra flexibility for you. You're able to save on picking up some of your targets and locating them. You could use the app, and then for those further away targets, you could still jump to and rely on that target scan that we're able to do. So let me switch this here to the go-to intensity view. So no extra points on these targets. The software still picked them right up, and then you can see there's 2 more here where I could zoom in and it did the target scan. So that comes in overlaid on your scan data. For those of you who aren't used to working with the P-Series data in here, that and any type of window scans that you do will come right in. They'll still be tied to that setup, that scan world setup, like I have here on the left. So we have those, and I'll jump back out to the sitemap here. You can see all the point clouds, all the points scan worlds that we have here. So I could show you with the True Slicer tool just how well everything aligned up. So this is no refining, no going in and working with any of those links or anything yet. This is just straight out of the box what our Field 360 app gave us on import. Some extra little cleanup may need to be done. It does look like, if I go back down a little bit, one of the setups is out a little bit here, this yellow one. I can see which one that is. So that's Scan World 1. So go back to the sitemap, and I'll show you guys too, just so you can see it. the P-Series data always looks so great, and especially in Register 360 here, how well it shows up. You're able to do a lot here. I'll go to another setup. So even on these setups, I did have some extra targets going across, and I didn't even pick them on the Field app. If I wanted to add them in, I always can though. If I go into the setup cloud, so back to the sitemap here, into that setup cloud. So what I can do is, right here's this black and white was target 2. I'll label it as 2. And over here, we'll add another one in. So this one should be 3. And here's number 4. So, and I did that for 2 reasons. So let's say we didn't like this cloud to cloud here that we have. I have 3 common targets now between the 2 scans. I could actually just say, hey, let's match targets. And it's going to go through and link these scans better based off of the targets for me. So it's taking a second to run. It looks like it's trying to do it over the whole project, which is fine, but I only have them marked in these ones, so we'll see what it gives here. So again, you could still default back to that however you want to. Click on my link. So now I have target constraints listed. So you can see how well the targets matched up between the 2, and I have the option, I could hold those, or I can hold my cloud to cloud. You can toggle that on and off. So it's telling me my targets were a 6,000 foot error, and then we have just over 800 with the cloud to cloud, it's saying. The cloud to cloud can sometimes be misleading based off of like your vegetation and all. There's a lot of trees here, some wind, so that number might be a little high if we don't go cleaning up what it used for cloud to cloud. Again, we're just looking at what it brought in from Field 360 right away. So, in case of these, you're able to also constrain by the visual alignment. So our cloud to cloud, we have the black where we can do it by targets. You do need a minimum of 3 targets currently in Register 360. I know in Core you can get away with using 2. That's not the case in here yet, unfortunately. Hopefully that could always change. And then you do have also the split view where you could pick 3 common points in your point cloud data set and tie your scans together that way as well. So I'm going to back out of here. So this is the first data set. I'm going to jump to a different data set, another data set I collected with the P-Series. So this data set was based off of Field 360 app. I have 2 more data sets. The second one I'm going to show you was I just strictly did it based off of the screen on the scanner. I did locate my targets in it, and I have some control as well to apply it to. So while that's opening up, were there any questions?
We do have a few. Yeah, we do have a few questions that came in that we can address real quick maybe. Can you use Field 360 in conjunction with the onboard P-Series software on the same scan project?
Yes, you can. So I did try to show that with that first setup. So even though I did the scan in Field 360, right after I did that 360 scan, I jumped right to the screen on the P20, and I mean the P50, sorry, and I acquired those extra targets that were further away and did the target scan. So you can jump back and forth with it, and your scans will show up on the Field 360 as you go. So it is pretty helpful. It adds another layer of flexibility with the P-Series, and honestly, in my opinion, because of having that, we have the on-screen capabilities and being able to traverse and do some resection off of control in real time in the field that way, or jumping to the Field 360 app and going with more of a speed and efficiency workflow. It's probably our most flexible scanner we have, honestly, for how you're going to go acquiring survey data.
And just to reiterate, did you acquire those targets in the field, or were they scanned in?
So two of them were scanned in. The other two, they were all just scanned in. There was no survey control to them. Two of them I acquired just off of the 360 scan in the app. The other two were acquired the conventional way on the scanner screen.
Okay, let's keep moving. We do have a number of other questions, but I want to keep this moving, and we'll come back and address some of these at one of the next breaks or at the end.
So since a lot of people with the P-Series right now are doing resection, they're acquiring a couple targets, and then it seems some will set up their control coordinates for their targets in the field. Others wait till they get it into Cyclone Core, right? So this is kind of where the road splits on how you would do things. So this data set, I did resection in the field, but I did not tie to my control points. Because of that, the scans all came in on top of each other and they look like a mess. So I moved them out a little bit just so you could kind of see how that looks. But they're all over the place. I can drag them all separate here, and you can see how they look. So the resection, it worked as in it acquired the targets. So these were acquired with target scans. This setup had 4 of them. This one had 3. This one had 3 targets, and then this one had 2 targets that were double faced. So it did a 2-face scan. So if you want your scans kind of that pre-registered, the downfall currently with Register 360 when it comes to, hey, I'm going to match 2 scans with just targets. So down bottom here, the match targets. So you need a minimum of 3 points. Cyclone Core, again, you can get away with only doing 2 points. As of right now in Register 360, you do need to have 3. So that is kind of a bit of a setback and a trade-off here. So these two I can link together using my targets because they have the 3 common targets between them. So once this links here, and usually this is pretty instant. Screen sharing with my computer does always slow it down here, unfortunately. So we'll see here about getting this sorted out. So one link was added. So the link shows up here. It's now on the right. I could see a lot of the overlap percentage, the distance between them, the target residuals and everything. That's all there for me, which is great. Now, if I wanted to link scan 3, which should link up to scan 1, scan 3 only has 2 targets. They're scanned twice here, and I did that on purpose. I was trying to see if I could trick the software, and it does not let me. So you do need 3 common targets between scans to strictly register them with the match targets. What you could do instead is you could utilize the visual alignment or the split view. So I'll just go into the visual alignment here quick and get these scans kind of squared away. Go to my side view. Now I have this, I linked this with cloud to cloud. Not a huge deal that the targets didn't work because I can still use cloud to cloud. it still had the nice overlap. I'm able to really interact and get the cloud to cloud setup to work in here well. And then the other setup was setup 5. So I could try to link setup 5 to 3 if I wanted to. Another thing I could do, which is pretty cool, so I have in here, I have my control points. So here's all this control. So these scans were done at Penn State's Wilkes-Barre campus, where their survey program is. I used it because they have control all over the place. Pretty convenient for testing out a lot of this stuff. I'm just going to right click the single station that I have, and I'm going to say, hey, apply control. And it placed that right where that scan right where it needs to be. And then I'm going to select these other 3 scans that are in their own bundle, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in and I'm going to right click. I'm going to do apply control to optimize it quick. Now I could do apply control. So this scan isn't linked to these 3 scans as a bundle, as Register 360 likes to work with stuff as. They're separated, but it's not a problem that they're separated. It's separated, but also tied in with those scans based off of just strictly the control. So you can see here for the Scan World 5, you can see how my control points tie in and my mean error versus the control that I used from that scan. Same thing, I could do that on this one. So I'll sort by my Scan World, and I could check how the residuals are for every single scan here. So every time a target's scanned, regardless of the Scan World, if it's all in the same bundle, they'll show up this way. They'll show up together. I will add these targets. Currently with Register 360, you cannot add a target height. So you do need to offset your targets before you bring them into Register 360. That could always change down the road as people request things and everything and features that they want to see. That always gets weighed to with what we may end up adding to software. So another thing to keep in mind, target heights, you do need to add the offset for your target height to your elevations. So I have all these scans all linked together in here now. They're all squared away based off of the control that I have. What I could do from here is I have a set of RTC scans that I could bring in. So let me get these squared away real quick again. I'm going to link these 3 scans up here together again, and then talk through how I go about usually if I'm working with the 2 scanners, what I tend to do. I usually will recommend the P-Series is going to be a more accurate scanner than the RTC. It has a better range to it as well. So what I usually do is I'll focus on using my P-Series to locate my control points to get me on my state plane, and then my RT, and that's kind of like the spine of my project. And then I'll use the RTC scans to fill in the gaps, just because that's a quicker scanner to set up. So I can do more setups with it. So I'll use that to maybe fill in between a lot of the P-Series scans, and save myself time, just because it's quicker to set up, quicker to do a scan. Which is all helpful when time and money matter. So get these scans linked together quick. Object bundle and apply control. So I have these scans still. I'm going to remove this link. So what I did was I had two different areas that I scanned with the RTC. They're all linked together here. So one area was at the front of the building. The other one I have over here off to the side, on the back side of the building where we had the 3 scans. So these scans very well could have picked up the targets, but I'm not necessarily going to use that. I'm gonna instead just work on using cloud to cloud to move these scans all together. So I'll select two setups. I'll select a P-Series setup and an RTC setup, and I'll go into the alignment here. Don't have to get it perfect, just have to get it close. Check that the elevation's all right. So now I have my 4 RTC scans linked right up to my 3 P40 scans. So I did these 4 scans while the P-Series was doing 1 scan. So while it was scanning in targets, doing the scan and doing images, I did 4 RTC scans on the medium setting with images. That's how much quicker you're able to move, to kind of put it in perspective. So now that I have those, I'm going to move this to control 2, and redundancy, right? We want a way to check how our data works out and how everything looks. So you could always add in these extra links to your bundle. And this is just going to add some level of redundancy there to make sure everything agrees and looks good. Optimize the bundle. And then what I can do is I can come over here. So these 3 setups, similar thing. They're going to link over to this lone scan that's over here. I'm going to do the visual alignment again with it. There. I'm not even going to worry about linking these other scans right now. You could work on making this almost like a whole traverse loop, kind of doing it the more typical way that we would if we were just using an RTC here, and we would be more strictly relying on the cloud to cloud. But the way we have, we have P-Series setups all to the same control over and over. That adds that redundancy in. So between these 2 bundles, we can go here to the cloud. We have pretty much everything linked right together, and we have a very good overall coverage with plenty of detail on this project. So I used RTC for those extra scans. There's no reason you can't do this all with a P-Series scanner, and do those couple scans where you tie into 3 or more control points, and then your other scans go, okay, now as I'm filling in, I'm going to rely on the cloud to cloud and work with that here in Register 360. So it used to be you would have to be more cautious with your control, and you'd want a lot more control in here, because Register 360 used to handle the way it did control a little bit a little bit differently. It wasn't utilizing the dual access compensator that a lot of the P-Series users love that it has. So now, our scans come in very reliably. Our control isn't going to force the scans to tilt or anything. It's going to hold what the compensator says for level, and give you results a lot closer to what you would get out of Cyclone Core in the past. So that's the second data set. I do have one more to show with where it's a traditional resection in the field, but we have all the control points loaded into the scanner ahead of time, so we're doing that real-time resection and registration in the field, and you can see how that comes in. It comes in pretty nice. So while I move to that next one, if there's any other questions that we haven't had answered, I know there's been quite a few questions now, and Jason's probably been working like crazy to keep up.
Yeah, I can tell that Jason is definitely working hard to keep up. We do have a number of questions that have come in. Let's ask this one real quick. In what order are you supposed to apply control to a data set? Do you apply, then optimize the bundle, or do you optimize the data, apply control, and then re-optimize again?
So the software will always want you to optimize your bundle before it does. You can apply your control. I don't know if you caught that a few times when I was trying to apply my control. It was popping up, oh, you need to re-optimize your bundle, because I was adding links and I wasn't optimizing it. Optimizing the bundle is pretty much just having the software look at the cloud to cloud for all the links that are in that bundle, and then try to adjust the error so it's minimized and everything agrees with itself as much as possible. So you're going to want to optimize the control. What I usually do, if I'm going to be focusing on the more RTC workflows where I'm doing a lot of cloud to cloud, I'm going to work on getting all my links in. I'm going to optimize it. I'm going to lock those links, and then I'm going to apply my control. And doing it that way, I'm taking that bundle that was all cloud to cloud, and it's going to shift it to my control. It's going to shift it and rotate it, and then I'll look at those residuals to kind of get a feel for how good my data is versus the state plane. That's kind of the one way to do it. Other way would be kind of what I did here, where I out the gate I did my control first with my P-Series scans, and then I worked on incorporating my RTC scans and then putting the RTC scans against my P-Series scans.
Well, and that might address this question as well, but let's just make sure that it's clear. When doing cloud to cloud with two scanner data sets, can you make Register 360 hold the better scans and not move them, and then have the worse scans, and that's in air quotes, move to the better scan?
Yeah, so you have some flexibility there with it. As you're doing your scans, you have some things here where you can lock the scan, and that's telling when you go to optimize your bundle, hey, don't mess with how these two clouds are. Keep them just like that. We're calling this good. Now adjust the ones that aren't as good. If you like the scan and you don't want anything from the bundle to adjust it either, you can actually turn off where you say, hey, global optimize it for me. So that's just saying, hey, based off of the visual alignment tool, I want to use those results, and then I can lock it, and then nothing with the optimizing your bundle is going to affect that link for you. So you have a few ways to make sure your data is as tight as possible. And the big thing you want to use with that as you go along is the true slicer tool here. You can kind of specify, and you can look horizontally and vertically how well the data lines up here. So my cloud to cloud saying 200ths, but you're looking at the wall there, it's really close, and even the wall over here, it's all right on top of each other. So I'd probably hold that result just like I have it here and have it locked, and then optimize the rest of the bundle with it.
Okay, great. We do have a number of other questions. So for those of you who have asked questions, I appreciate your patience. I know Jason is answering those behind the scenes as well. But let's keep going because I know you have more you want to show us, Seth, and we'll come back and address these questions later.
Yeah. So I have one more to show. So again, this was done in the field resection with known coordinates. Some of them were done with 3 targets, as you can see here on the right. Some of them were done with 2 targets here on the right. So these scans come in blue, and they're coming in saying that if you do a bundle optimization, it's not going to adjust them or anything because they are pre-registered. So if you do any of this type of work where you're working with control in the field and you're going to hold it, when you bring your scans in, you want to make sure for register using that you have pre-registered checked. The scans are pre-registered. Your P40, your P50, your P20 all did that for you in the field as you were going because you had control coordinates punched in. So you could do that, and if you did images, you can import your images and then hit import. If pre-registered data comes in really, really quick because the software is not trying to link it or do anything with it on the back end. It's just going to bring it in, plot it, make it all visible for you. So I'm going to just skip back to that. So hit the import button and the data came in looking like this. So these are all the scans and as they moved around and how they're registered together. So as of right now, we don't have a lot to look at. It just comes in. This isn't a closed loop, so I don't have a loop error necessarily. So what you want to do is you're going to want to still bring in your control file. So I have that right here. And jump back over. I'll just go in and I'll say, hey, apply control. So now we have all these control points in here that we used, and these purple lines are showing me what setups used what control, so I could visually see that. I could turn those off if I want to, and have the data set to look at. So now if I go to that apply control though, I'll make this table nice and big and a little more centered here. I could sort by either the control point or I could sort by the station, and I could look at some of these residuals, and from here, if I wanted to, I could pick and choose which ones to turn off to see if I could get see if it'll give me a better mean error. So let's just say I'll turn those 4 off, and I'll do a reapply control. So then my error vectors have updated and changed. My mean error did go down, although it barely went down. I mean, we're talking about 1,000th of a foot. That's really splitting hairs at that point. So for the most old-fashioned way of going about scanning, the tried and true method, that data still comes in. It's still fully supported and would look like this. Any setups that you do this way would look like this. So wanted to show that as well. We're not pushing anybody away from any workflow you are doing. It still can be done in here, which is great. If I didn't like some results here, there's no reason I can't remove the link and do a cloud to cloud for it and link them together. Link cloud to cloud if I want to. I have that full ability in here. So other nice thing for those, I know there are some who haven't used Register 360 on here. When you go to export, you get a nice report you get to export out of here, which I love statistics, I love data, I love error analysis, all that. So I love having this to look at, and I can see what setups are shared with where, and I can actually look on here with my through my setups with what my different error residuals were. So that's all here. It's all saved on a PDF whenever you go to export. If we had cloud to cloud done, that would also show up here. You could turn that, we could turn that part off, of course, too. So something nice, a nice added feature that you didn't really get out of Core that's in here. So I'm just going to cancel that and go back here. So I anticipated plenty of questions. So I was kind of wrapping up everything I wanted to show there for everybody, and hopefully we can maybe answer a few more questions here before time's up.
All right, excellent. Let's start working through these. Jason, I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, I know you've been answering questions behind the scenes. Are there any that you've addressed that you think it would be helpful for Seth to show to the rest of the audience?
Well, actually, that's quite a few good questions, and thank you everyone for your patience. Very good questions here, and I'm trying to answer them as much as possible. So I'm doing a lot of typing here, and if I've missed anyone, I do apologize. They're coming through pretty quick. So one thing, and someone brought up a good point, and I don't think we've talked about this. You know, doing a setup backsite foresight method. Can we do that workflow in Register 360?
So if you do the backsite and foresight, if you're doing that on the scanner screen, you're going to still bring it in as pre-registered, like this data set. I haven't messed around with it too much personally. It's just not one I typically do, where I'm setting up over the known point and doing a backsite that way. You could run into the same potential issues with it in here as you could with Cyclone Core, where if that backsite was wrong for some reason, trying to correct it, you could rename the point, but you wouldn't be able to necessarily fix it. We don't have that really built into here to do much with the backsighting and foresighting. So you could bring it in, but it would be it is as it is, unless you're able to. You have enough overlap or some other targets in view where you can readjust it a different way.
Okay. And another one that someone's brought up, and I understand the thinking on this because I've also used Cyclone Core quite a bit. So they're talking about, and you might have kind of briefly covered this. I was trying to answer questions while you're doing it. If you have P-Series data, and of course, you know, you want to hold those P-Series data and you want to put all that data together and lock it. And then you have RTC data. Could you create two separate bundles, then pull the RTC data over to the P-Series data to match it as two separate bundles, or how would you do that?
Yeah, I would work on those bundles separately. So when I link these setups here on this second data set, I had these P-Series scans locked before I incorporated my RTC scans. You could certainly do that. So I would work on getting those links squared away where I'm happy with them. I'd lock all the links, and then I would make my new link here to merge these together. So that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, and someone was asking a simple question about the they wanted to see the true slice on the building data, on like right on that building there. I think they were wanting to see what the true slicer, basically see how well the data worked in the bundle with the true slicer view. If you
Yeah, of course. So I just went back through here, and what I did was I have my P-Series scans locked. I locked my RTC bundle, and then I linked them together through a common scan setup between the two. So now, since they're all in one bundle, I can actually go in and I can do that bundle cloud. And I'll switch to the true view though. The true slicer.
That's what they want to see, the true slice, a nice colorized.
Yeah. So let me. I'll make this slice nice and thin here. It's probably about a foot. And we'll zoom in on it here. So.
There we go. Yeah, I believe that's what they were wanting to see.
Yeah, so you can see here.
Yeah.
So
a lot of good questions here, very detailed questions. And again, trying to get to all these as you can. Some of them, I think it's some of the same things over and over again. Kind of reworded a little differently. I think you might have covered this about what would the workflow do to like to optimize the bundles on the targets. I think you discovered that, lock the P-Series and then put the RTC to that.
Yeah, I try to do that usually, Jason. I don't want my my less accurate data. Not that the RTC is inaccurate, but I usually don't want that to affect the best data and the data that's got the control tied into it.
Absolutely. And I think some people are not clear about, some people might be new to Register 360, is how to lock and unlock, or I'm sorry, level and unlevel scans and how they come in. And you can correct me if I'm right on this. So when the hierarchy tilt is on with RTC, those come in as level. When it's off, they come in as unlevel. So if you ever want to toggle between them, it's just those simple little circles on the right, or excuse me, on the left menu there.
Yeah, good point, Jason. So if you're using the high accuracy tilt function, and this will be a lifesaver if you're using like the RTC through corridor projects or along roadways, it makes a big difference. Go into your settings and under your links, make sure you have turned on the use level from DAC. So that's dual access compensator when you're using applied control. So that's where it's going to hold the level from the high accuracy tilt or from the P-Series with any scans that you do. So make sure you have that turned on. And then if you look at my bundle on the left here, these RTC 1, 2, 3, 4, they just have a circle with a dot. That means they were done without the high accuracy tilt turned on. If you look at the bottom, these bottom two, they have a gray circle and a line through them. That line's really hard to see, but it's actually like a little level bubble. So that tells you that there is a leveled condition. You had the high accuracy tilt on, or it's a P-Series with a dual axis compensator, and you could turn that on and off. So if you turn it off, it ends up with a line through it. And the best way I could tell anybody to get a good understanding of that is next data set you're working on with it, turn it off and turn it on and apply your control and see how much different your control is going to be.
Yeah, good point. Great job on that. It's something I think encourage all our clients to definitely look at.
Really good to bring up because that dual axis compensator setting is pretty new in here. It's been in the last couple releases. So if you're not updating your software regularly, definitely get it updated so you can make use of that and make full use of the high accuracy tilt on the RTC.
Yeah, definitely good point. Like anyone, obviously keep your CCP current or current subscription, because I believe this was added in just the last few versions. So if you don't see it, you may have an older version. Just might need to check on which version you do have.
Yep, good point, Jason.
It seems, Seth, like there's just so many different options and so much control that you have within the software. And it seems like the time savings really comes in as you become more familiar with the software package.
Absolutely. There's a lot of flexibility, especially with a P-Series scanner in here. It's because you have a lot of options. You have those detail scans, the better range, so you're going to be able to do more with cloud to cloud. You're going to be able to acquire targets further away. For a lot of people on this call, get with your local Leica rep and see about sitting down to discuss a little more and figuring out that workflow that's going to work best for you and what you're comfortable with.
We have a few more minutes here, so let's try to tackle a few more questions. Someone asked about the number of targets that you need for the scans, because Register 360 needs 3 targets to do the work. Do you mind sharing how you would go about scanning in a poor cloud-to-cloud environment, such as in the woods?
So woods can actually be a really good cloud-to-cloud environment. So one thing I didn't fully brush on here is when you do a cloud-to-cloud, so when you do cloud to cloud, you can actually clean up what it's going to use. So if you remove like the tops of the trees and you focus on just like the stumps and the trunks of the trees, cloud to cloud can work out pretty well sometimes. But in those cases, I usually would still fall back on I'm going to try to make sure I have the 3 control points, between my scans, so then I can link my scans together that way. It's just kind of a safety net fallback if I know cloud to cloud is going to struggle. Or I just make sure my scans are a little closer together so I have a better overlap. So.
All right, I'm looking through these questions here.
What you
Jason's
can
actually
do.
done a really good job of addressing a lot of them behind the scenes.
They're very good questions. They're very long questions, and the answers are. I'm trying to get as much detail on those answers as
It's tough to
possible.
give a quick answer for sure,
Yeah,
unfortunately. So
unfortunately,
I
it's
have
not a yes or
pulled up
no.
the cloud to, real quick. I have pulled up the cloud to cloud here, and what I can actually do is, like, these trees aren't going to help me with my cloud to cloud. I could just cut out a lot of them, the tops of a lot of them, and it's going to improve my overlap, and usually will improve how well your cloud to cloud works. So another nice thing you could do in here with that.
Well, and I'm just curious, Seth, I mean, you showed pulling in data sets from the P-Series and from the RTC 360. Obviously, Leica has a lot of different scanners. We have the BLK to Go handheld scanner, which I know some surveyors like to use as their fill-in scanner because you can walk around with it.
Yeah.
The BLK 360, which is a very compact, easy push-button scanner, right? There's just all kinds of scanners that you can use. Register 360 accepts all of that scan data, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And what about, and I, of course, we don't want anyone using any other scanners besides Leica scanners. We don't recommend that by any means, but what if someone does have another manufacturer scanner? Can they pull that data in here as well?
They could. You would do a similar import, and it would depend on the file format that you have that point cloud in, but you could potentially bring it in and do cloud to cloud to it. I've brought in drone data before. It's been a while since I've had to do it that way. I'm fortunate to have plenty of Leica scanners at my disposal.
That's good to know. Again, that adds to the flexibility, right?
Yeah.
If someone's really trying to push their productivity. And for those of you on the line, if we are not able to get to your question while we're in session today, we will definitely have someone reach out to you afterwards to address that.
Hey Seth, could you show your settings? I think someone brought this up because I know a lot of times when we're working with data sets, sometimes the default settings not always the best. You kind of play around with them a little bit. Maybe this might be a good place to kind of explain to people some of these settings so they understand how it works with the data.
Yeah, of course. So these are the settings I have turned on typically. So I mean, the main ones I usually keep my image import to fast. It's still pretty reliable. I haven't had any issues with that. Your links, these colored links that we have here, you could specify what kind of error you want for those. Mine are probably pretty close to the, excuse me, close to the default settings. If I'm troubleshooting data or something, I may have them bumped up. If I'm really trying to get as accurate as possible, I may bump them down as well. Max target error. So I have mine turned up pretty high because I'm usually looking at a data set somebody's struggling with. So I want to turn that up just so even if the residuals, almost 5 feet out, I could see that and go, okay, there's a problem with that target or something. So you're able to control that. I don't always optimize my bundle upon a link creation because I want to, it goes back to the locking links and being able to toggle on and off your global optimized. I like to be able to do that and wait till the end to optimize my bundle. If you're working with a big data set, every time you create a link or modify one and it's trying to optimize, it's going to slow you down. So I just turn that off. So another one I recommend. And then of course we talked about the dual axis compensator there. Your cloud to cloud, here's some settings I have turned on mine. They're different than the default. Some messing around and talking internally here at Leica, they're kind of the values I've come up with where it seems to work out pretty well for me, especially those hard for cloud to cloud environments like in the woods that somebody asked about. Sometimes doing a little deep dive into these settings could make all the difference for you. And there's more about these in the help menu too if you have any questions on these.
All right, that's fantastic. We are at the top of the hour now, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, Jason did a fantastic job of addressing most of the questions. I think there are just a few that we didn't get to today, but we'll have someone reach out to you and make sure that we get those answered. Make sure to mark your calendar. We will be having another Reality Capture Education Series session in June, and we will be focusing on the workflow for the BLK to Go, which is the handheld imaging laser scanner. Eric Cowan will be walking us through that. He had a lot of great questions after his last session a few months ago, and people wanted him to do a deep dive. So I think we're going to come back and do that. And as you do exit, we will have an exit survey pop up. Please do fill that out. It is very helpful for us to know, whether you found this valuable, what you would like to see us cover in the future. So please do let us know that. And we hope that this has been a valuable experience for you. So thank you very much for your time. And thank you, Seth and Jason, both.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in.